Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Lighting Your Sunshine, where we like to shine a light within and empower ourselves. So today we're just going to use the Voyager Tarot, which I think is interesting because I didn't feel like putting out a reading today, so I just shared the very first one that I ever used. And these are the cards that I used. And what I found it even more interesting, because I didn't really plan on taking a break, I just knew I needed to, but these were already on my desk, on my table, so I feel like there's something to do with these cards. And let's just hear. Oh, weird. Okay, so I shook it up before and I just kind of pulled. I was like, what's the overall kind of energy that's coming out today? And I kept getting this Devil's Play. I got it like 3 times and then I was like, okay, whatever. And then I left and forgot all about it. But now it's come out in reverse. So we have the 4 of Crystals in reverse with Logic. We have Devil's Play in reverse. And then we have 2 of Cups with Equilibrium. So, what is that showing me? I'm seeing someone overcome a very toxic habit or a cycle or something that they've been stuck in for a while. Just because like when I see Devil's Play, that's like attachments to things and people outside of ourselves, unhealthy habits. Okay, so then the next 3. So those are the 3 I'm going to put here, and then I pulled 3 more. And so I have the Death card, which the Devil's Play in reverse is like that death to that bad habit, something that just takes away your mind. And so the next one to come out is the Moon in reverse with Illumination. So I'm seeing someone get mental clarity. So where do we start on this story? Well, we'll start above. So we're just going to go straight to the logic. What is the logic of this situation? They say look within the card. The main thing that I kind of got drawn out to okay, so I was drawn to here first with these 2 I feel like calling them comrades. I just see them like laughing and joking and having a really good time and playing, and then behind it is like a festival and a party, and like there's fireworks going off in the background. So I saw them, I saw the party, I saw them like influencing each other, and then it went over here to the pink mushroom. And I saw the pink mushroom as 2 things. First, it kind of came out as like feminine energy, sexuality, things like that. And then it also came as like drugs, mushrooms, and like trying to take mind-altering substances to change our reality. So that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing people indulge, and that's why it's called Devil's Play, because it's like you kind of, whatever this energy is, it's like things that you know that harm you in one sense or another. So in this case, it has to do with logic. Mentally, you know what you're supposed to do, but it's like almost like your body just does it. And so your mind is telling you, no, don't do this, but you know there'll be repercussions, like, right? It might affect your health, it might something down the road. And you're like, that's okay, because in the moment it feels great. In the moment it's a party, and we'll deal with the repercussions later. So as I said that, then I looked over and here's Saturn. Like they're dancing on the rings of Saturn. And Saturn is all about like structure and authority. Whenever I think of Saturn, I think of like a really tough ruling father figure. And so that's kind of in the background. It's like, I know I'm not supposed to do this. I'm going against logic. I'm going against everything that I know is in my best interest. Maybe it's like you have a test the next day. You should be at home studying, but instead your friend influences you to go and party, or, you know, oh, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And your mind's like, well, I gotta balance this. But you know you're supposed to be at home doing that thing that logically you already promised yourself to do. And so that's why I see this devil's play in reverse. There's a death to this, because I feel like mentally there's been a situation going on for too long. And this situation has been allowed to run rampant, they say. It's just something that's been like, I'm almost seeing it as like a shadow. And so you're like at this party and it's like almost like that one thing, logically it says don't do this. And you're like, yeah, but what if, right? You have that devil's advocate, like that person that kind of talks you out of your good choices. I feel like in that moment, this like shadowy figure kind of is like comes out and about, and it's like free to just be in the background, kind of manipulate and influence things. And because you're not caring about that stuff, like you're not taking responsibility, that stuff just keeps growing and changing, and it gets into everything, and it just makes everything toxic, I'm hearing. So that's what the situation is. I just feel like there's a little bit of like in the background, almost like not tending to your garden, not tending to the weeds in the garden, and then the weeds overpowering. So the next one is the Two of Cups with equilibrium. And so there's flowers, right? We want flowers. We don't want the weeds. When I feel this equilibrium, because there is something, there's this moment when you realize this situation. That's what I think. I think like you thought that you could avoid this, that no repercussions were going to happen. And so you kept on with enjoying the moment. And in that moment, responsibilities piling up, right? That shadowy figure growing and growing and growing. And the next thing you know, that shadow has kind of blinded you logically. You can't see clear. And then all of a sudden, like Saturn's going to step in and be like, you're grounded or something like that. And from there, it's like you really need to go within and do some soul work. I'm hearing like it's time to clean up your mess. And so this is the future outcome. But before we get to that, I feel like this party's gone on a long time. I'm seeing just like tons of empty bottles with like cigarette butts in them, right? And that's just the grossest smell. If you let that just like sit and stagnate, and then that's what I'm seeing. And that's almost like the smell of death they're showing me. It's like you wake up one day and you're finally aware at how toxic some of the things that you have allowed to go on be. And I feel like it really is this partnership, friendships, something, a circle outside of you. Yeah. I feel like there's peer pressure in that, and I feel like whatever it is that they want from you, it's always like in the moment, it seems like a great idea, but it harms you so much tomorrow. And by living in the moment, right, that tomorrow's gonna come, and then I see it like avoiding that, right? Always avoiding that pain, never dealing with the cleanup, never dealing with the repercussions. And so getting pushed to the point where it's foul. I'm hearing like it was almost like a game. Now they're bringing it to like baseball for some reason, and I'm hearing foul ball. And that didn't make sense until I looked at the moon, and I saw that there's lots of circle shapes on here. So the moon is all about illusions. The moon kind of is that shadowy figure, right? Sometimes going out with your friends and like letting off a little bit of steam is beneficial, right? But I feel like this one is stuck on the carousel of the perpetual party. This party never ends. And the only reason why we're not saying that partying is bad, it's that this person had responsibilities at home that they're neglecting. And that's the problem. And so with that, there needs to come that death. And so that foul ball, well, when I look at this statue, okay, so the three things I got kind of drawn to was, obviously there's a flower there, So there's the flowers to connect this card to there. That's not part of the story yet. I was drawn to the dolphins first and how there was partnerships and playing, whereas that one looks balanced. I get way different energies from these two dolphins together rather than these two. I don't know what they are. These ones are lower vibing. These ones are higher consciousness. But anyways, and then when I went to the statue on their nose, it's like worn off or starting to like wear and tear. But that's what they showed me was like that smell. It's like the smell of like, again, those like empty beer bottles with cigarette butts in it. Like that's just what they're using it as an example. But it's something like that, just gets ignored and ignored and ignored, and it builds and builds and builds, and it's like you can't hide it anymore. It's like the smell is too gross. And so that's what I see is like that foul smell is that foul ball, and that's on the moon card here. So what about they just keep saying, because as we see this in the logic, the brain, the everything in it is now foggy. So it's like this person kind of wakes up and they're like, yeah, I partied, but now, okay, now I'm going to get down. Now I'm going to be responsible. Like, this is what I had to do. And they like look around, and it's almost like I'm seeing sheep for some reason. All you had to do is like herd the sheep and like shear them. But all of a sudden when it comes to actually do the work, they're all over the place. And you don't even know where they all are. And so that's what I'm seeing is like now your mind is like, I don't even know where to start. Everything was lined up. It was supposed to be so easy. I just had to take accountability and put a little bit of time into this, and it would have been done. But because I avoided it, I ignored it, it's twisted and gone and ran off and changed, and I don't know what to do anymore. And so that's where this death kind of energy comes in. I'm seeing the death come. I'm okay. In this story, I'm seeing someone start off life. They're on one path. They kind of get knocked off. They go onto a party path, whatever that is, and then it's like thinking that this other path is still intertwined and manageable. But then at one point, they're going to realize that this path has veered them so far off that they're not even near that path anymore. And I think with that realization and all that responsibility and due diligence is going to be like this huge wake-up call. There's going to be like, it's almost like a midlife crisis type energy kind of coming through with this death. So I almost see it as like, I had all these things that I need to focus on balancing, but instead I just focused on having a good time and doing devil's play and whatnot. And so when the death kind of moment comes, I'm seeing it being very, very black and bleak and isolating. There's no more like sparks and magic and all this extra. I'm hearing like a marching band and like all this fun energy. It's going to be like quiet and bleak and desolate. But I feel like that's what's so great about this death. This is a lonely period for whoever's story this one's for. Like it might even be in terms of like depression or something like that. Because it's just like I've gone so far off path, I don't know how to get back to my path. So how do we get back to the start? But the moon was in reverse. So it's like that path, as it said, it drifted so much that you can't see it. The only reason why you can't really see that path is because the mind and the vision has been clouded and ignored and told, I can put this off. And it twisted and manipulated and it kept changing. And that shadow came into it and covered it. And so now it's just an illusion. I feel like distance and space and time has happened. But it's like in this death energy. It feels like almost going from like a perpetual party to like nothing. And in that nothing, being very void and barren and like not even having the hopes and the dreams from the first path that you had, right? Like going to school, passing that test, getting that education, right? I feel like there was like hopes and dreams of what you were going to take that and build it, but the momentum of that's all gone. It's all been undone. So it's like, well, I could pick that up again, but do I really even want to start that? And so that's a question for whoever this reading is for. Because I feel like, yes, you can go back and rewind that path and start whatever that is. But it's almost like a lot of wasted energy, they said. So you might even have to, let's say it was like school and you dropped out, you have to go back to the beginning and do the things that you already did. But this time it's like have that discipline and commitment. Whoever this type of soul is, I feel like they punish themselves a lot only because I see a part of them maybe not even wanting to go back. And so staying in this energy. And then almost like becoming like isolated and that's not the purpose of this, because the final outcome of both these cards, look at all that light. We have illumination with equilibrium. In here, it was all fractured and foggy and not flowing well. Because it seemed to be things were taken only in the immediate. You knew you had things to do, and so it kind of like took you away from the immediate gratification. Because now I feel like you knew that the things in the long term were going to add up, and now they're kind of coming in. Now that energy is like paying the piper, cashing in, whatever it is. And so I'm seeing like maybe lots of time has come and like the body just needs a break. And so that's what I see, a positive, happy shift of something coming. So you're going to sit in this dark period. And you're going to be like, this is the moon. This is like the illumination of what I wanted, right? Hiding. The moon is all about like hidden secret shadows. So the moon is kind of that shadow energy in the back that hid everything. And so by you sitting in this death energy, I'm brought to the moon up here. And it's like, well, I can find that moon, right? Like I can just vacuum up all this darkness and then that path will be there. But I feel like with this death, I feel like your everything will change. Your beliefs, your structure, your everything. You might have a bigger purpose now than you thought you did at the beginning. Because look at this illumination. Look at how many different paths and different energies there is from this awakening moment. You're not going to stay in this death card energy for too long. Much better, right? You're not going to stay there. There is going to be illumination, and I feel like with that fire, with that spark, will create another new path. So I almost feel like holding on to the past and like that path that you were trying to force before. It depends. It depends on how bad you really want it. I feel like I'm picking up on someone who has regret that they didn't work on that. Well, it's like, just try. Because that's what I feel like is the whole reason why that didn't work out is because you didn't try. And it's almost like a fear of trying and failing. And it's like, well, at least you'll have the answer. Because what I think is worse is to avoid it and never try, never have the answer, and never know. This is a person who's like, well, I see the structure of the Saturn almost being like, this is almost like a perfectionist type person. And maybe things came so easy at the beginning. That's almost what I see. Because again, we're going to go back to student. This was like someone who in school, they just got things easy. Concepts came to them. They're like, oh, I don't need to stay home and study. I can go out and party. And then that party, sleeping into the exam and all these other things, rushing in, realizing they didn't know all the answers. They should have, like, it's almost like that. And so that's what I feel like eventually when life was so easy, waking up and realizing that you've gotten off course. That's all it is. But if that's the course that you really want to go, you have to try, because you didn't try in the beginning ones. You ignored and avoided. So that's what I'm seeing. If you really want something, go try. But I'm seeing from majority of this that most of them in this death situation, this death is almost going to create like a new blueprint for you, because you never had this low, this lowest of lows, that I almost see like as low as this low is, that's how high the high is going to be. Whereas before, maybe the goal was only here and you kind of fell here, but then by going through the dark night of the soul or shadow, whatever, it's going to bring you even lower, and that even lower is going to skyrocket straight up. That's why there's so many options. And so what I get that somebody's already in this moment, or they're in the ready to leave the party. It's not even like a party. That's what I'm getting. It's just the parties are toxic dynamics between friendships or co-workers or whoever this relationship is. It seems to influence you, and they can always talk you out of your responsibilities. And so I see someone waking up and finally being like, I'm so tired. I'm so tired of them always taking me away from my path. Because it's so fun, they're very magnetic, but then when you wake up in the morning, like, again, we'll use school. School's at this location, but this person is like, nope, we'll get you on time, we'll get this. The next thing you know, you're woken up in the next city, the next something, like, and they're like, oh, well, we don't got a car, like, oh, not my problem. And you're like, yeah, but you said you would. Oh no, that was, you gotta let things go. Like, that's the type of energy I get from them. Very deflective. It's almost like they'll promise you the world, but then when it comes time to like follow through, they're like, I just went with the easiest option, the easiest route. And that route didn't lead you to your responsibilities. So that's what I'm seeing. So I'm seeing you come back in and going through this death, through this whatever it is, because I feel like each time you listen to this person, it hurts you, it hurts you, it hurts you. And so now you're feeling very meek and void. And so from there, I see it just being very dark. But from that darkness, I'm seeing the depths of the different waters, the storm starting to flow. Starting to rage, I'm hearing. And then so from once all this emotion and everything kind of comes up, that's when you start having these energetic healing moments. But I feel like to go from the void to water, even though that water is a storm, I am seeing the dolphins now, right? They swim in water. And so that's new consciousness. So I do see a new path, a new belief, a new hope, a new dream. So if you feel like you kind of wasted your opportunity, maybe you wasted your youth, a lot of the times, right, it's like, if I knew the way that the world would be right now, I would have bought a home sooner, and I would have done all these things sooner, and I would have invested sooner. And it's like that energy isn't going to help you because you didn't. But at this moment, there's a new path. There's a new path illuminating. And look here. So most of this looks like the fireworks. From this, it's almost like, okay, perfect. That's the perfect way to sum this all up. This card here was all about the logic. And the logic had different areas, different elements, different things it was incorporating, different paths and responsibilities. And then over here, there's the fireworks and the play and the fun. By going through this death and rebirth, the dark night of the soul kind of energy, here I see the moon, and then now I see fireworks. It's almost like it incorporates both of them. Whereas this one was you avoiding responsibility to go have fun. Well, this is you following through on your responsibility. And I feel like each one of this is like a sliver of this. It's like you take these two cards, infuse them, and now you've got this. So before, responsibility wasn't fun and you're avoiding it. But now I feel like the things that you're passionate about, the things that you dub as responsibilities you need to take care of, are actually going to like be the fireworks. It's going to empower you and bring a healthy equilibrium within you. I feel like pulling two more cards and then wrapping that up. So we've got this the two coming together, finding a purpose that is fun. not judging ourselves from our past and childish ways. We needed those lessons in order to learn. 3 are coming out. So the 3 that came out is we have 6 of Cups in reverse with sorrow. So no sorrow. We have the Woman of Cups with Rejoicer. And then we have Setback with 5 of Worlds in reverse. So by you sitting in this death energy and feeling the feels, letting the storm within you tell you whatever it is that it wants to take you. That's what I see, like this setback with the 5 of Worlds. I almost see it like a tornado coming with those seeds and like throwing it far. And like in that far, you kind of have the isolation. And so with that, I feel like that's already happened, and that's why this setback is in reverse. That's why the sorrow is in reverse, because this has already been, you've been ripped from the environment that spirit is like, this is not helping you. This is toxic for you. This is a hindrance, and if anything, it's keeping you stuck and stalled, and you're giving your power away to other people who manipulate you, but they don't care about you. They don't think of you outside of this good time. Logically, you're not a care on their radar. All they care about is having a good time in this moment. And so why do you keep giving up all your responsible things and things that you love and your passions? And so with that, it goes within into the dark, takes away the illusions and lights a new path. What did you learn from all this? Because I feel like that there should, obviously the path you were on at first wasn't fun. You didn't want to do it. You were so quick to want to escape it. So how can you bring responsibility and that fun together, right? There's an illumination coming. And with that, it's just like rejoicing. It's going from this death energy, which brings me a little bit of depression and blah and bleak, and to feeling fulfilled. I feel like in this Devil's Play card, they were never fulfilled. It never felt good. It was like always chasing a high, and that high maybe lasting the first time and then never again. And so from that, it's going lower and lower and more toxic. And that's why like spirit's like, this is bad situation, man. And so I see them putting a stop to it, because it almost kept you I'm seeing a video game, and you just should have been levels ahead with just staying at the one level. I keep seeing you like beat that level and then going back to the beginning. It's almost like going into school and like repeating grade 1 a million times just because you already know everything there and it's comfortable, but never actually going on to learn, like arithmetic, math, or spelling, and all the other social sciences, all those other subjects that would have helped, right? There's so much variety. So that's what I see. I see you stepping out of the comfort zone with those who keep you smaller than, and creating whatever it is that makes your heart happy. I see you not needing to avoid life, but creating a life that you love to live. And every day you wake up, you're like, this is freaking awesome. My younger self would have just wished and imagined for this. But again, you just have to try. So if you're not going to try, it's not going to happen. But if you're going to try, I feel like Spirit's got everything behind you to help make this one possible. Because I feel like you've really learned your lessons from this avoidance energy. And I do see equilibrium coming. I keep seeing this. It's a swan. But do you know, with a cactus. Hey, it literally is like, I feel like, I don't know which reading that was. And I kept calling the swan a goose, and then I kept saying that the willow looked like a cactus tree, and the cactuses are blooming. But here we have a floating cactus in the middle of all these water, which is kind of a magical image on its own. But do you know what I see? I keep seeing an otter. And so when otters like go to sleep, right, they hold hands. And that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing it like whatever the storm, whatever the current, it's like being at peace and happy with whatever situation you have, having that illumination and rejoicing. And from that, I'm seeing you see the path clear because you have equilibrium. There's no more of this shadow and illusions, and no way that someone else could kind of come in and influence you to set you back and bring you into sorrow. That is the end of that cycle. And so because the cycle's over, they're saying, what am I seeing? Let go. They're saying let go and try this time. So we'll leave it there. I hope you guys have a good day, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.